On yesterday's one-year anniversary of the January 6th attack on the Capitol, we introduced you to a Western Riverside County pastor who invites extreme right-wing conspiracy theories and anti-mask and anti-vaccine activists onto his show. He's also interviewed Riverside County politicians, including State Senator Melissa Melendez and the District Attorney Mike Hestrin. In addition to those county politicians, U.S. Congressman Ken Calvert has also appeared on the show. Representative Calvert serves parts of Western Riverside County, but after redistricting, he could represent parts of the Western Coachella Valley as well, including Palm Springs, Rancho Mirage, and Palm Desert. He joined Pastor Tim back in August of 2021 and had this to say about January 6th and the 4th Riverside County men arrested in connection with the attack.
Here's one thing that I know for a fact. There were 6 men that were indicted in our areas from Orange County to Riverside County. Two men from Orange County, 4 men from Riverside County. 2 of the Riverside County men who are constituents of yours and voted for you, 2 of those men go to my church. My heart yearns for that day where the truth comes out. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to that coming out really, really soon.
Hopefully sooner than later. I think that that's going to happen, and I think a lot of the people that have been unfortunately charged will be released here. Or the charges dropped, I hope, relatively soon.
And it's not all talk. Hours after thousands stormed the Capitol, he still voted to overturn the 2020 election results. He also signed an amicus brief asking the Supreme Court to overturn the election results in 4 states. And he's voted against holding an independent commission to investigate what happened on January 6th. We did reach out to Representative Calvert and his team for comment. They have not responded. Our own Gina Lamont sat down with Will Rollins. He's one of the candidates running for Ken Calvert's seat in this year's election. He's a national security and terrorism prosecutor. Here's a portion of their conversation.
Joining us now is Will Rollins, candidate for the 41st California District for the U.S. House of Representatives. Will, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
As a prosecutor who's actually prosecuted January 6th insurrectionists, what does today mean to you?
The image that sticks in my head is the image of handguns drawn on the floor of the U.S. House, something that I thought I would never see in my lifetime. And I remember watching that unfold on TV and being horrified, not only for what it meant for the United States and our rule of law, but also for how our enemies abroad would perceive a weakened America.
1 year later, are we in a better place or a worse place?
I think we have more work to do, and that includes getting rid of members of Congress who enabled the Capitol insurrection, like Ken Calvert. And that's why I ended up leaving the Justice Department to run, because I think that as long as people like Ken Calvert are in power who spread conspiracy theories and lies designed to undermine our democracy, we're in trouble.
The 1 year anniversary, there was exactly 2 Republicans who commemorated the day. One, of course, was Liz Cheney. The other one, former Vice President Dick Cheney. How shocking or stunning do you find that?
It's beyond words. I think America, and I grew up in a family of Republicans and Democrats. I was taught from a very young age that America is about more than one party. America is about more than one person. And to have this type of a divide over the worst attack on the U.S. Capitol since the War of 1812, and to have an entire major political party, for the most part, abandon our institutions, the rule of law, and what makes America exceptional is an incredibly disappointing thing to watch.
What were your thoughts when a poll came out recently that 64% of Americans felt that violence was okay around elections if the results were not the ones they wanted?
That is a huge alarm bell, and I think the bells have been going off for a long time. And I think part of what we need to do is think about how do we end the systemic division that is siloing off Americans from one another and having some of us live in alternative fact universes. And one thing that I want to do if I'm elected is propose specific legislation to target some of the destructive algorithms on social media and update our FCC rules to make sure that we're living in the same universe of fact because I think that's a huge part of the problem. And I don't think Ken Calvert's doing anything to resolve that.
No, in fact, if anything, one could argue there's fuel on the fire with his consistent stance that January 6th wasn't really that bad, that the election was in fact stolen, which justifies the actions of the rioters on that day. When you're looking at your opponent in the upcoming election for the 41st District, is that going to be your main point? The main difference between the two of you is you prosecuted rioters and he defends them?
Accountability for January 6th is important, but I think what's also equally, if not more important, is that we have a plan in place to make sure it never happens again. And he absolutely does not. So I think that what we need to do as a community, and I've been thrilled to have support from Republicans, independents, and Democrats alike, who are sick of that kind of extremist politics. And 14,000 Republicans in Southern California left the Republican Party after the Capitol riot. And some of those folks are supporting me. And so I think that they want a candidate with a proven track record of caring about the rule of law, of caring about national security, and of admitting when somebody loses an election free and fair, because that is what makes us an incredible place to live. And that's what so many generations fought and died to give us today. So I'm proud to be standing for those ideals that I know a lot of Americans before me held as well.
You're running for federal office, but is part of our problem going forward the 50% or 60% of Republicans who truly believe that the election of 2020 was stolen are now making moves in state houses across the country to where they could legally overturn an election if they didn't like the results, or in their minds there was any sort of question about who really won? Is that the bigger concern going forward, even as you run for federal office?
Yes, that's an extraordinary concern, which is why the U.S. House and the Senate need to pass voting rights legislation to protect our fundamental right to vote. And it's unfortunate that we're in a position where people believe that instead of just persuading people that your policies are better and that you should vote for them because they have a better plan for the future, the reaction has been make sure people don't vote. That is insane. And it's un-American, it's anti-democratic, and it's something that I'm proud to be fighting against as a former federal prosecutor.
Well, Rollins, running for the 41st District, thank you for your time, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me.